one of those that you did in 2004, the Cape Town, was the first ever ICF surf ski world championship. And you took that out over Herman and Tim Jacobs, and that was in pretty rough conditions and rough seas. So what I was sort of getting at there was, is this where you feel like you thrive in those tougher conditions?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I think that if you enjoy something, you're always going to go better at it. And for me, there's a lot more enjoyment in water that has movement and variables on it than flat water. So, and that particular race had a lot of swell. It was, yeah, it was pretty big. And Tim and myself and another guy called John O'Chalmers, who was a good paddler at the time, we were the Australian part of the Australian team, and we sort of took a bit of risk and went really, really close to the surf breaks on that one, and it kind of paid off for us. Well, it definitely paid off for me. So, and Tim, because Tim ended up third. So Herman went wider, and I think 2/3 of the way down the course, us three were the kind of the leaders. So at that particular time, Herman was really, really fast. So to beat Herman in any race was a real fantastic thing to do, and to beat Tim likewise in any race was a fantastic thing to do. So for me, that was a great event, and it was well run. It was well organised, and we all had a fantastic time over there. And we did a double ski race the next day, and I paired up with Dave Kassane in that one, and we did pretty well in that as well. It was a little bit different. We didn't race many doubles over here in Australia, whereas double racing is very big in South Africa. So, but that was around Robben Islands, where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated for a long period of time, which made the event really interesting. And there was big surf in that as well. So, yeah, it's been some fantastic events. And obviously, when it's big surf, that's the conversation you have after the race. When it's flat, the only conversation you have after the race is who won. Yeah. So for everyone that's on the water, when it's big, there's so many challenging aspects to the race, and when it's flat, then really the only challenging aspect is how far up the field you finish. So that's a fantastic talking point for us, is when it's big like that.
And so it seems like you, and I think you've commented on this in some of the things I've read, you had a sixth sense for the ocean, is what you said, and it seems as though when you talk about that race, how you took the more precarious route, that maybe you had quite a good understanding of the ocean and the intricacies that presented themselves with all these different races. And this came a lot from your time as a professional fisherman in the north of Australia. So you're working up north in the winter, and then you had to bolt back in summer for the racing. And it wasn't until a point where you wanted to progress your career where you actually moved from Perth to actually progress your career. Can you talk us through how character building that point in your life was as a fisherman?
Yeah, well, the fishing days were pretty good. They were really tough. I jumped on my first trawler when I was 16 and went to the Gulf of Carpentaria. And I guess it was, even at the time, I guess it was probably a weird thing to do, like a lot of people would still be at school or starting a trade or something like that. And I guess my trade was being a deckhand on a trawler. And I think from those early days, the very first boat I jumped on, we left Fremantle on a blustery afternoon, and we went straight into a cyclone. So I spent the next 3 days throwing up as we made our way up the coast towards Darwin. And I just remember looking at the ocean, and I just used to think about all the things you could do with those. They were pretty large lumps of water that were moving around us, and I guess I've always just looked at that sort of thing. I don't know if I have a real sixth sense for it, but I when I look at some other people, I just think that they don't look. They think about the paddling too much and don't actually look at what's going on around them and the benefits you can get from utilising the different movements on the water, and just having a quick look at stuff that's going on and can really change the course of what you're doing. So yeah, I fished for about 6 years, and ended up moving down to Exmouth on the northwest coast of Australia, and I really liked living there. I didn't really like the fishing in the Gulf Carpentaria too much because that was full on. And we're on the boat the whole time. The lifestyle in Exmouth was more 2-day or 4-day trips. So sometimes we'd get to surf while we're out at the islands because you worked at night. And I got to surf and I got to play footy in the local footy team and live sort of more of a normal life than the hardcore fisherman that's on the boat the whole time. So that was pretty cool as well. And being on land every second day or every third day or whatever gave you the ability to run. And Exmouth has some amazing canyons, and I used to run through the canyons and things like that. So I was always fit. And then I would spend the summer in Perth, the winter up north fishing, the summer in Perth. I'd work as a lifeguard and then on the beach, and then I'd do all the paddle training through the summer. And through the winter, I just ran and surfed and swam and dove and that sort of stuff and paddled in summer. And then I got more and more into paddling as the years went on, and then moved over to Sydney when I think I was about 23. And then got right into the paddling when I moved over.